Oh, hey Jackson, what's up, man?
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. What'd you need?
I just want to tell you those youth vlogs you're doing are hilarious, man.
Oh, yeah, I try. Thanks. Oh, hey Liliana. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, what's up?
I just wanted to tell you that the youth vlogs are like really fun.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, are you talking to Zach? Hey,
Oh,
Zach.
hey Julie.
Youth vlogs you're doing are so funny.
Oh, thank you.
Super funny.
Oh, it's good, yeah.
Hey, Zach, those youth vlogs are really, really good.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, Zach, those youth vlogs are really cool.
thanks, guys.
Hey Zach, would you come into my office for a second?
Sure, Jeff.
Hey Zach, I want to talk to you for a second about your youth blogs.
I know. They're really funny.
No, they're not. I don't know why you think they're funny, but they are not funny in the slightest.
Wow.
I'm going to need you to do something different.
Okay, Jeff. Yes, hello, I'd like to make an appointment.
Come in. Take a seat, please. So, Mr. Zachary, tell me what is wrong.
Yeah, I'm just kind of stressed out. And I'm having a bit of a creative block.
Very interesting. What are you scared of?
What am I scared of? Reba McEntire? Snakes? Gophers? That stuff that I found in the shower drain? Tiny dogs? Wiener dogs. The Baby Shark song? Reba McEntire? Turtles.
You've got to be kidding me.
That stuff under my kid's car seat? Asbestos? Brendan graduating from high school?
But what are you really scared of? That is the question.
You know what I'm really, really scared of? It's my boss. He's also my dad. He's really mean. Calls me names. It's not a healthy working environment. I think it's stifling my creativity. Alright, welcome to Youth Blog number 3. Glad you're here. I'm not on the roof of the church, but I am at the very top of this wonderful play structure that I built. Here, look, look at it. Ooh. Ah. There's Judah down there. Yeah, I had to climb up through that. It was terrible. It's really hard to get up here. Anyways, not a big deal. Let's see if I can set that back right. There we go. Get started. I had an idea. Next week, you have to send me these videos before Sunday, but I want trick shots. Have you heard of it? Dude Perfect does it. You can do it with a ping pong ball into a cup, or a crazy basketball shot, or something with a frisbee. Basically, you take a ball or something like a ball and shoot it into a hole, but make it a crazy trick shot, and the best one will win a prize. You're welcome. And the worst one, I'll still show it to everybody probably, so send them to me. You can email them to me. I'll put my email in the group me, and then just email them to me and I'll choose the best one and someone will win. Yay! All right, back to the blog. because I'm on this thing in our backyard, you might hear dogs barking or cats meowing or our neighbors yelling at each other. That's fine. Just disregard it. It's great. And the little yippy dog that our neighbor has, I love it. Anyways, I want to talk to you guys about trust. This, like I said last week, we're going through a season that's very uncertain, and people don't really know what's going on. Our parents don't know what's going on. Family members, cousins, friends, whatever, all that stuff. It's just a confusing time, and trust is something that we say we trust things, but do we actually trust them? So what I want to talk about from the Bible is stories about trust and sort of how that relates to what we're going through, and then again some encouragement, hopefully. One of the things that I would say is a lot of you would probably say that you trust God. When you say that, you probably mean that you trust that God exists, but if you actually got to the nitty-gritty, do you actually trust God when things are uncertain or not going the way that you'd hoped or the way that you had planned? And right now is a good example of that. Some of you don't know if you're going back to school yet. I don't know if they made an official decision on that. Some of you don't know if you're actually going to graduate. There's lots of uncertainty just for you, but also probably family members, parents. So trust is an important topic. One thing I will say about the pandemic, if that's what you want to call it, is that it is forcing us to deal with some of our fears, maybe even fears we didn't know that we had. Maybe we didn't realize how scared we were of uncertainty or not knowing the future, or how scared we were or fearful about how we're going to be provided for. A lot of worries and stuff. So this thing that's going on is kind of exposing some of those fears that we have. Maybe we knew we had them, maybe we didn't know we had them. But fear is something that's very real. Being scared is something that's very real. And a lot of people go through it. Now there's a story in the Bible. It's a story of Gideon. If you're not familiar, it's in Judges 6. I'll put that in the video so you can see it. Judges 6. But Gideon basically is stressed out, anxious, and fearful almost through the entire story. At the beginning, when God comes to talk to Gideon, he's hiding out in a wine press, threshing wheat, because he doesn't want this rival group of people that are his enemies to come in and take all his stuff. So he's hiding somewhere, basically prepping food. And then God tells him he wants him to do something, and then Gideon just basically keeps coming back and asking God to do different things to prove that it actually is God. He actually does it 3 times. He asks God to consume an offering that he has prepared for him. Then he asks him to send morning dew onto a piece of fleece that he has set out. And then on the next day, he asks him to do the opposite thing, to make the dew be everywhere but on the fleece. It's kind of weird. But he keeps asking God to prove himself. I don't know if it's a stall tactic or he's just really that nervous, anxious about the situation. But eventually, he does trust that it is God, and he does what he asks him to do. And eventually the Israelites are freed from 7 years of slavery and dealing with these people who keep coming in basically and taking all their stuff. Now, Gideon, he was stressed out, anxious, nervous, worried, I'm sure, much like probably we are, but there was provision, and God eventually worked the situation out. And in a small way, I would kind of even tie that in for me. I built this playhouse for my son, I don't know, 2 months ago maybe? Probably not. A month ago? I don't know when I built it. But it was a couple of weeks before all of this stuff started to happen. And, you know, we were kind of like, I don't know if we should do it. It's a big purchase, it's going to take a lot of work, but we did it. Now I'm looking at this thing, and we're all locked in the house all day, every day, almost. And if we didn't have this thing, pretty sure that my wife and both of my kids, and probably me, we'd all be going crazy because there wouldn't be anything to do. The kids would be driving us nuts. So for me, that's a very small thing, but totally a provision of God that, like, we got this thing when we did, and it was ready to go. And now my kids have their outdoor playground, as he calls it. and they're able to come outside and have something to do. And that was God providing in a situation that I didn't even know was coming up. I didn't know that, obviously, that this was going to happen, but he was providing me with provision before the thing even occurred. Now with Gideon, we notice that he keeps basically asking God to prove himself, but God doesn't get mad at him. And we see the same thing with David in the Psalms, where he's expressing his fear, anxiety, and stress to God, which is okay. It's okay for us to express that we're scared or that we're fearful or that we don't know what's going on. But at the end of those prayers, David would always say, "But I trust you, God." And again, we might say we trust that there is a God, but are we actually trusting him? And I think that's the difference. I wanted to read from Psalm 23. This psalm is super popular. You guys have probably heard it. And for those of you that don't know, I used to be a rancher, a shepherd. I don't even know. I used to raise sheep and cattle and chickens and pigs and all this stuff. So I'll try to enlighten you to a certain degree on that. But I'm not going to read all of Psalms 23, but just kind of the first-ish part. Anyways, you'll see. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Okay, so first off, for those of you that don't know what a shepherd is, shepherd is somebody back in the day that was in charge of a flock of sheep, protected them, got them food, got them water, all that stuff. In verse 2, it says, he makes me lie down in green pastures, which I think, as a kid, when I read it, I always thought, like, oh, that's cool. So he makes me lay down and take a nap. I like naps. But the idea of a sheep, or really any animal that could be preyed upon, lying down, only time a sheep's going to lay down is when they feel safe, basically. And they're not going to lay down if there is a lion or a wolf or something that's going to kill them. They're not just going, hey, I'm going to take a nap. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but if you guys ever, I don't know if you guys ever watched a animal documentary or been on a safari ride, but you don't ever see like zebras laying down when there's like lions around. Like they're all like super alert and checking everything out. So same thing with sheep. If there was something going on, if they didn't feel safe, they probably wouldn't be laying down. So that means they're trusting in this protection from the shepherd. It says he leads me beside quiet waters. Again, waters is that's a provision. That would have been the most important sort of center of life. You'd have to have water to have anything, to have a community, to have a farm or whatever it is. You need to make sure you had some way to get water. So he refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right path for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Again, what we're walking through right now, I don't know how dark it's necessarily going to get, or I don't know how bad it's going to get for each one of us, but he's saying he knows that there is no reason for him to be worried about what he's going through or the things that he had gone through, because he knows that God is with him. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. It's kind of a weird thing to say, that your rod and your staff, they comfort me, because I don't imagine like shepherds walking around with like two different sticks essentially, right? But there's a reason that it says that. A rod in the Hebrew, getting a little heady here, a rod in the Hebrew, a rod is used as to show authority, or used in discipline. So you would strike somebody with a rod, or it would, like a king would have like a certain kind of like rod, and that meant they had power and authority. Now, staff is something that's there to help you. So rod is protection and authority, and then the staff is something that's there to help out. So the shepherd only has one big stick, but it either can be represented as a rod and something that he's protecting the sheep with, and then or that shows him as his leader, or it's something that helps him out and is helpful. There's a quote from someone, I don't know who said it, but it says, never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God. And I think right now that's sort of never been more true. The future is unknown for everybody. Nobody really knows what's going on, but we do know who God is, and we do know what he says in his word, and we do know that he is in control. So I would encourage you guys, maybe now, if you're already starting to feel scared or fearful, or in the future, you can read Psalms 23. You can read through the Psalms in general. You can read Proverbs. There's a ton of stuff. I just encourage you guys to get into your Bibles and read because you have free time. And then also be praying and be real with God about what you're going through. And you can tell him what is causing you anxiety, what is causing you stress. And he will listen. And sometimes getting that stuff, speaking it, saying it out loud or saying it to God can be helpful as we try to deal with it. And then just reassure ourselves with who we know God is, what he says in his word, and the provision that he's already given us in your life, like the blessings that he's given you or the things he's provided you and your family with. I'm sure if you ask your parents, they can tell you stories about how God has provided for you guys and your family if you don't know them off the top of your head. But just affirming that who God is, that he is for us, and that in spite of the unknown future, at the end of the day, we sort of do know the end, and we do know what's going to happen. And hopefully as Christians, we're bringing hope to other people, we're bringing truth to other people, and also some hope and peace into our own lives because we have these assurances. So that is all that I have for you guys this week. Make sure that you guys send in your trick shot videos to my email address, and I'll send that through the GroupMe. But I'm looking forward to seeing those. I will be praying for everybody. If you need anything, call or text. And hopefully I'll be able to see you guys soon. Is that it? That's a weird sounding bird. Alright, and hopefully I will see you guys soon. Hope you're having a good week. That's it. Bye. So real quick, easiest way for me to get off of this thing is to take the slide, because everything else is too big to climb through. So.